So on to our second category then, and this one is going to be Best Racing Game. And in the console space, we were really, really well represented again. First up, we had Dirt Rally, then WRC6, Forza Horizon 3, and F1 2016. Those ones are basically my picks for the best racing games of the year. I know there were a lot more. We finally got Assetto Corsa on the console space. Obviously, Project Cars has been gaining momentum and gaining development over the course of past kind of year or so since its release, but these were basically my picks for games of the year, all the nominations. And I gotta say, they've all been really, really, really impressive. So first up, Dirt Rally. This gets a nomination because it is a real return to form. Again, similar to Doom in the sense that it really went back to its roots. It listened to fan feedback and really threw out all of that hoonigan, gymkhana style of racing games that have been made popular by obviously Ken Block and his kind of web series. And of course that was the direction that Dirt 3 went in, and it was okay, it was fun, it was arcadey, but it really, really wasn't what the Dirt series was kind of renowned for. Dirt has always been about you racing against the clock, setting the fastest lap for a stage in a rally course. And Dirt Rally really nailed that. It was really, really was a return to form. Just excellent handling, really hardcore if you wanted that. A ton of stages and tracks, lots of classic cars, from the Renault Alpine to the Lancia Delta, right up to the modern Subarus and the Mitsubishis, and so on and so on. And really, really well represented there. So for my money, I think Dirt Rally 3 is well deserving of a shortlist on the best racing games. And that takes us nicely to our second nomination, that's WRC6. Now again, this is keeping with the rally theme. WRC6 is again an annual franchise, but in this one they really showed what they can do with the next generation of consoles. They have all the teams, all the actual drivers, all being in the official license obviously. It's all the official tracks and drivers and car teams. And what makes it great is just the handling. Similar to Dirt Rally, but maybe not quite as sim-focused as Dirt Rally. This was just really, really accessible, but again, if you wanted that sim experience, WRC6 really does cater to that approach to your rally driving as well. And what made it so good was just the sheer abundance of tracks available to you. You've got every single stage in every single country from the official WRC6 circuit. And it was just really, really well executed. I don't think it's graphically nearly as good as Dirt Rally, but in terms of its feature set, its multiplayer, its community events that constantly kind of churns out, just a really, really, really strong rally game. So if you want the official World Rally experience, then definitely check out WRC6, because it's well worth your money. And then next up, that brings us to possibly the greatest racing game I think I've ever played. Is Forza Horizon 3. Now, anybody that knows the Xbox franchise will be well aware of the Forza franchise. And this is basically their pinnacle of racing games. Similar to PlayStation's Gran Turismo, this is Xbox's and Microsoft's baby for driving perfection games, basically. And Horizon is the spin-off of that main Forza series. This is obviously the third iteration now from Playground Games. And I gotta say, they really have excelled in building this spin-off series into, frankly, something that is actually better than the main series as well. Out of the door goes the circuit racing, the main kind of tracks, the hardcore sim focus of Forza proper, and in steps this massive open world, this playground of arcade, mix of arcade with this kind of hybrid of sim racing and arcade racing, and it's so good fun. There's a ton of stuff to do. This year it was also set in Australia, which is just massive. It marries up a great soundtrack with it. There's drop-in, drop-out co-op with your friends, and it's just so much fun. There's so much variety of things to do. There's the barn things to do where you get to restore cars and add them to your collection. There's the events that you get to, the Horizon events that you get to unlock and basically do different challenges. You've got the competition aspect of it, where you've got your drivatars which just randomly pop up and then you can challenge to a street race. It is absolute fun, and I think it's probably the most fun racing game that's ever probably been created, so do check that out as well. And finally, F1 2016. Now, full disclosure here, I've never really been an F1 fan. I don't really like watching it. I think it's a little bit boring. And certainly have never really been a big fan of the racing games. I think the last one I played was F1 64 on the Nintendo 64 way back in the 90s. But what is it about F1 2016 that really does make it worthy to get a nomination for Best Racing Game of the Year? Well, I've got to say, it's the campaign. Now, there is that expectation level which F1 2016 really does hold on to, and it is, the cars are like rocket ships and they stick to the track like glue. You kind of expect that, and the sensation of speed from these F1 cars does not disappoint. But it is the campaign that really, really excels you, and that's the big attraction for me. You pick a team, whether it's Mercedes, whether it's Sauber, whether it's Red Bull, Williams, not Williams, I've shown my age here, McLaren, and you basically are the teammate to the big names like Raikkonen or Hamilton. And that basically sets a rivalry that follows you throughout your first season. And then if you also switch teams, then there's another rivalry all set up for you. And that rivalry is fed into this meta game, which is executed just brilliantly, in the sense that, do you set a faster lap than for example, Lewis Hamilton, then obviously that rivalry will build. If you set a better qualifying pace, basically all these little mini games that are feathered into it. And it's really, really quite addictive and compulsive. Now, previous F1 games or racing games, if you had to qualify, you would usually skip those practice sessions and do very much kind of much shortened qualifying practice instead of like the full duration, the full realistic session time. But I've got to say, in F1 2016, I was more inclined than not to always do a one-to-one practice session or one-to-one qualifying time, because throughout this metagame that I mentioned previously, there are little games like get the most number of apexes, and what it does these little kind of like almost like a VR mission kind of thing, where it puts holographic gates through all the apexes, and if you pass through the gates, you've obviously got the best corner, and you get points for that, and that feeds into R&D points, which you get to then upgrade your car, and obviously feeds into that ecosystem, but also into the rivalry system as well. Things like tyre wear becomes a little mini game in itself as well. If you're too hard on the brakes going into a corner or a hairpin, then you're obviously going to burn through the rubber much more quickly than if you're very, very smooth and maintaining speed as opposed to weight braking. And it's just really, really well done, and it adds an extra level of almost like RPG-like mechanics to it. And I loved it. I kept on playing it all the way through to a couple of seasons. I never quite got my World Championship or even on the podium. I was that bad. But even though I was finishing in like the bottom half of the draw, there was something compulsive about it. The driving obviously feels great. These guys at Codemasters know exactly how to make a driving game, but it's all these extra features for the campaign, your World Championship, that really, really does make it worth checking out. Things like the online multiplayer is, as you would expect, totally rock solid and really, really good fun. But I do, for me anyway, it's the single player campaign. It's that World Championship, that pursuit of being the world champion, that was really, really great fun and a really big draw. So with all those checked off the board, there of course can only be one winner for our overall game of the year for best driving game. So what do you reckon is the best driving game of the year? Well, it really is a tough one between F1 2016 and Forza Horizon 3, but let's be honest here. Forza Horizon 3 is by far the best racing game of the year. What a great exclusive this is for Microsoft. It's brilliant. Plain and simple, it's absolutely brilliant. It's so much fun to just pick up and play. You can take it seriously, you can be the hardcore kind of sim enthusiast, you can tune your cars, or you can treat it like an arcade racer, and it caters to both schools of thought. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. So that is our Gamertag best racing game of the year. So stay tuned, we'll be back very, very shortly with best action adventure game.